Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today, and welcome to the session titled How to Manage My Manager More Effectively. It's our 27th monthly Free Friday Lunch webinar, and for you that are supporting us in sharing this content, which hopefully makes a difference in your lives, thank you very much for being here. I loved this picture on this opening slide. World's best boss with a bit of help from me. And I think that summarizes very nicely what I'm going to share with you today. Right, so for those of you who don't know me, I represent a company called Soldati, Southern African Leadership Development and Training Institute. We also have a second brand called Soskiso or Source Skill Solutions, and watch out for a number of nice developments as far as this brand is concerned in the near future, which I'll share with you at the right time. Just quickly, a couple of housekeeping matters. First of all, I want to invite you in terms of handling the content, probably the most important note. I'm going to share a lot with you, but given the topic, I would like to invite you to focus on those areas that you know you should be addressing more successfully. Focus on the low-hanging fruit, where you see the gaps between what I'm sharing with you and where you are in your life as far as managing up or managing your manager is concerned. Please mute unless you ask a question in the Q&A session, which will more or less be three minutes, 27 minutes more or less I'm aiming for in terms of presentation time. And please bear with me, I'm an Enneagram 1, and that's why I'm very specific around these things. Please mail me if you want to be added to the distribution list for future sessions, or simply register on via our website. Please mail me future topics, and there's a reason, ladies and gents, why the please is in capital letters. At some point, I'm on session 27, like I said. At some point, I'm going to run out of topics. So please send me topics that you're grappling with, things that you think might add value in relation to self-leadership, emotional wellness, and the likes. And then finally, this recording will be available towards the end of next week on our website. So for those of you who have missed previous sessions, you can go onto our website, soldati.com. Under the right-hand side, you'll see the resources tab and the resources insights, and you'll find all the previous recordings as vlogs. My disclaimer is, as always, I don't have the magic wand. You don't attend a session with me and then you've mastered what I've tried to teach you or share with you. It's about practicing, right? It's the only way we typically master soft skills is by practicing it and reflecting and practicing and ensuring that we, through that journey, grow. On this wonderful, I'm saying deliberately, given that picture, on this wonderful, beautiful, rainy day in Joburg, it is my privilege to share with you, hopefully, different perspectives that will assist you and will hopefully pave the way in you mastering, in this case, managing up or managing your manager. My invitation to you is to reflect, to hold up the proverbial mirror and ask yourself, where can I improve? Where can I apply this content? And look at yourself in the mirror and say, what should I do to live life differently better in relation to the topic? And here's another invitation, where you see somebody else, maybe somebody in your team or one of your colleagues, battle with any of these topics, also today's, please pay it forward in terms of the content that I'm sharing with you. Right, let's get to it. Managing up is maybe a foreign concept to you, but there are so many books on managing up or managing your boss or managing your manager, and I'm just flicking through a couple of them to show it to you, and there are many, many more. What I do like are these last two. So the second last one talks about, and that's why I've encircled it in blue, the crux of it is that managing your manager is the most important relationship that you can have at work. Let's look at the last one. How to manage your manager? By managing yourself. I have a confession to make. I'm a leadership consultant. I have a PhD in leadership. But I can tell you honestly that it was only up to a year or two ago that I became aware of the concept of managing up, manage your manager, and that it's a concept and something that we have to practice and take seriously. I was seriously, talking about seriously, I was seriously unaware of this concept. I send you the invitation using David Cottrell's quote, and I'm going to repeat it. Take the time and energy to manage your boss the same way you manage your team. And we don't often think about leadership in that way, right? We typically think about leadership like I thought about it in a very traditional sense, being top down, as that picture very nicely illustrates. So, if we don't manage up and down, in hindsight, we are venturing down the road of missed opportunities and we're missing a trick. I'm going to tell you a quick story about John. The year was about 2000. I was working for a company called Nampak Tissue. It's now called the Twin Saver Group. And we had a supply chain director, and I had a fellow colleague that was also a managed accountant. He looked after the sales side, I looked after the supply chain side. And Wayne, who was our supply chain director, phoned Wayne to come and explain to him some of the numbers in the exercise that he asked John to do around sales figures. And John walked into our open plan area and looked at Wayne, who was our supply chain director, senior guy. He was my direct line manager. And John had this smirk on his face, and he chirped Wayne based on the telephonic conversation they just had. And then everybody went quiet because we had an idea what was gonna follow. And very calmly, Wayne, the supply chain director, told John, in no uncertain terms, listen, John, one thing you have to realize is that I will always, but always, have much more of an influence over your career than you will ever have over my career. Now, John did not understand that the boss is the boss, even though I don't necessarily like that word. But the reality is, our line managers are the senior guys to us. John thought and viewed Wayne, in a sense, as the enemy, as opposed to saying and focusing on the fact that Wayne should actually be my partner in getting the job done. So before I share the rest of the content with you, I want to just highlight this. I've got one proviso. In sharing you the following content, I am not doing it in the context of bullying that might be taking place in your workspace, also from your manager side. I'm not talking about it and sharing it in the context of harassment. No. I'm sharing it with you in the context of a, quote, normal working relationship, unquote, that you might have and that you have rather with your manager. So, as I was preparing for today's session, before I typed in managing up or managing my manager, I played a round of words and I typed into Google treating my manager effectively. An AI overview gave me this result, this answer, and told me that that is about treating my manager effectively. It's about focusing on open and honest communication, demonstrating respect and professionalism, and proactively contributing to their success, my manager's success, and the team's goals. Now, see how similar this is to the definition of managing your manager, or managing up then, as an alternative phrase. Involving proactively understanding your manager's goals, priorities, and communication style to build a strong working relationship and ensure mutual success. This includes clear communication, setting expectations, and aligning your efforts with your manager's objectives. See how similar these two things are. And in essence, what I'm saying to you is managing up is really about how do you treat your manager. I came across this blog article from Better Up. They've got good content. That was written not that long ago, end of last year. And the title is How to Manage Up at Work, 11 Strategies or then Tips to Advance Your Career. Now, before I get to these tips, I want to highlight a couple of things from this article. They define managing up as the following. They say it refers to the process of effectively working and collaborating with your supervisor or your boss or your manager to ensure that you both succeed in your roles. It starts with understanding your manager's goals, preferences, and challenges. This knowledge can help them achieve their objectives while you advance your own career as well. And very importantly, they're saying that the goal of managing up is to create a positive and productive relationship with your boss, with your manager. And this collaboration, they say, can also lead to a more satisfying work experience and greater career growth. And then they highlight key strategies for managing upwards. Sorry, I messed up there. Can you see that again, Mia?
Yes, we can.
It says key strategies, right? Super. So they're saying key strategies for managing upwards includes the following. Understanding your manager's priorities. Find out what is important to your manager and align your work to support these priorities. Utilizing upward communication. Keep your manager informed about your progress, challenges, and successes. And this includes providing regular updates, seeking feedback, and clarifying expectations. Being proactive. Anticipate your manager's needs and potential issues before they arise, and take the initiative to address these things to your manager. Building trust. Be reliable, consistent, and honest to build a strong working relationship based on trust. Next one, adapting to your manager's style. Recognize and adapt to your manager's work style and communication preferences to work more effectively together. This could mean emphasizing skills that complement your managers or filling in their skills gaps. And then finally, they're saying offering solutions, not just problems. When presenting a problem, also suggest potential solutions to demonstrate critical thinking and initiative. One of our managers very early in my career told me, Hekkie, when I was also a manager, junior management manager, he said, Hekkie, don't be a conduit. I said, what do you mean, Graham? He said, you're just purely transferring the issue or the problem from your team to me. Surely you as a manager should be able to get to the solutions, come to me with solutions as opposed to just passing the issue to me. That was the second last one. The last one rather was being a resource. Position yourself as a valuable resource for your boss, your manager, by developing expertise, offering insights, and contributing to team success. Then they're also saying what managing up is not about. Complaining, ignoring your boss's priorities, your manager's priorities, withholding information, being reactive versus being proactive. We touched on the previous slide. And then overstepping your role. So here are the 11 tips or strategies I referred to earlier in managing up. And they say managing up can look different across different roles, companies, and teams. Regardless of where you stand in your career path, you can use these 11 tips to start managing up. Number one, know what's important to your manager and what their goals are, because it's important that we are aligned to align managers, right? Communicate early and often. Don't wait until it's too late. Ask questions. Otherwise, how do we clarify in order to do what we're supposed to be doing and to be effective at that? In that, develop empathy as a leadership skill in relation to your manager. Remember, you or she are also human. Nothing stops you from saying, Mary, John, as your manager, addressing your manager, telling them, listen, I know your child is sick. I've got this. I can do what you're currently doing. Go and look after them. Please go home. Have empathy with your manager. Give early warning of potential problems. As soon as you think there's a crisis on the horizon, share and communicate. Number 6, anticipate their likely response. If you know your manager well, you'll know typically how they're going to respond to you communicating something to them. And then it's also important that we have a response to that response. Keep a paper trail. Not to cover your backside, no. But to put things in writing so that your manager can get to it when he or she finds it suitable and have the time to do it. Know when your manager is most responsive. Pick your battles. I want to add to that. I was once told that we need to box cleverly. Don't take an issue to your manager if you know the timing's off. If you know he or she is not in a great mood. That's silly. It doesn't make sense. And then be a team barometer. You should be close enough to your team and to your peers so that your line manager can simply go to you if there's any issues as the go-to person. Next one, take complete ownership of your work. Last one, ask for feedback. Mr. Manager, Mrs. Manager, how am I doing? Do you think there's places where I can improve? Please give me feedback. There's 5 own experiences I want to share with you, which doesn't relate to any theory that I've researched or had a look at it as part of preparing for today. Things that I've experienced that I think would hopefully have value to your lives in terms of managing up. Number 1, critical, make time for formal and informal check-ins with your manager. Otherwise, how can you be aligned? If you're part of my social media network, also on LinkedIn, you'll be on the receiving end of quotes like these. This one was sent out last year. Well, I think about life and about work, and this one states, quality time together and effective communication are the food and water for growing relationships. And this applies to your line manager and, in fact, anybody else. Also, the people that are part of your inner circle in terms of your family members. Number 2, pride is a killer. And maybe, I don't want to generalize, but maybe us as men are more guilty of this, ladies and gents. Put your pride in your pocket. It's not about you, it's about the issue. And I love this quote. If you're ever too proud to say sorry, you have bigger issues than an apology. And then, worst case scenario is we add adrenaline to it, that hormone that wants to make us fight, and low EQ, and then we get this toxic working environment that you and I can't afford. Number 3, be willing to be vulnerable, especially us as men. Brené Brown, who's an expert in this field, she says, vulnerability is not a weakness like we sometimes think it is. It's our greatest measure of courage. And linked to vulnerability goes honesty. We have to be honest with our line manager. Number 4, consistency. Your line manager can't afford to have you as the person, the go-to person reporting to them, and you are personality 1 today and personality 2 tomorrow. Yes, we all have mood swings, but it's important that by and large we are consistent because it also affects trust. Lincoln Shafi said, trust is built with consistency. And then the last one I want to share with you from personal experience. See it, that is your relationship you have with your manager as a marriage. And some of you might immediately respond like this. What do you mean, Hekkie? Well, in the sense of, do whatever it takes to make it work. Say to yourself, there's no plan B. And if you do, you'll be amazed as to what is possible. Obviously, when I say whatever it takes, I mean legally and ethically to make it work. But you might tell me, Hekkie, you've got no idea. I've got this idiot of a boss. I've got the boss from hell. And in fact, I went to buy this t-shirt. You think I'm an idiot. You should meet my boss. Well, might be the case. Listen to this video clip. Mia, as always, just give me a shout immediately if you can't hear the sound, but I did tick it.
Hi, this is Phil Cook with a quick tip on employees everywhere. Let me tell you what to do when an idiot takes over your department. You know what? It happens all the time. It happened to me early in my career a couple of times. We've even had clients over the years where the guy we reported to happened to be an idiot. It just happens. It doesn't matter what kind of organization you're in. Sometimes your boss turns out to be an idiot. Let me give you some advice for how to respond. Number 1, as difficult as it may be respectful. I know your thought is going to be, let him expose himself, let him show what an idiot he is, but be respectful because you do not want to create an antagonistic relationship with your idiot boss. Chances are he or she is managing up. So the people above them thinks that person's a genius. You know the truth, so don't try to expose them as much as be respectful, be helpful, develop a relationship so it will help your situation really quite a bit. Number 2, don't take it personally. very often in their criticism, in their stupid ideas, in the way they manage the department, you're going to start thinking, he hates me or she hates me. It may not be the case. It may just be the way they are and the fact that they're idiots. So try your best not to take it personally. A third thing is help them save face. Again, this is going to sound ironic, but help them save face by finding solutions. Help them look good because they're going to owe you and they're going to want to be nice to you and develop a relationship and help you. So just like a normal boss, help them save face by finding good solutions. Number 4, set boundaries from the start. Let them know that you work from 8 to 5 or whenever, and you're not interested in working at night. That's family time for you. Or when you'll take calls or when you'll take text messages. You don't have to be a jerk about it, but just set some boundaries because jerks will often take advantage of you, your time, your family. So set those boundaries right from the start. Number 5, keep a paper trail. As much as you can, communicate online, communicate through email, through text messages, and save everything. Save everything because there may come a time, and it's worked out so many times in my case, where eventually the higher level bosses started to realize there's something wrong with this guy or this gal, and we want some proof. And so they'll come to you, and if you have a paper trail, it can really help expose the fact that they're an idiot. And then number 6, I can't say something like this without saying know when to leave. Sometimes they're so good at managing up, that idiot is so good at managing up, the boss is never going to let them go, never going to get rid of them. So if your life is miserable, even when you've done these 5 things, if your life is miserable, always remember that leaving is an option. Don't be so stuck in your position. So I'm always an advocate of networking, getting out there, get your resume out there, talk to people, develop relationships. So in any given time in your career, you can move on to a better place. I love that phrase, go where you are celebrated, not where you are tolerated. It's so true. And sometimes if you have an idiot boss, it may be time to leave.
So I want to say to you on that last note, unless you live this quote, the grass is greener where you water it, as opposed to greener on the other side of the fence, i.e. leaving to a place where you think you're going to have a better line manager, but you might not, as I've experienced in my life. If you don't live this phrase or this quote, then you might just experience what Neil Gaiman said. Wherever you go, you take yourself with you. I want to encourage you to try and resolve the issues that you might have with your line manager. And when it's resolved, only then think of maybe potentially moving sideways or to another department in your organization if you have a large department or a large organization, rather, large company. But see it as a challenge. The point is, make sure that you have a clean slate, that nobody can point fingers to you in that manager relationship between you and your line manager. James Clear, the guy who wrote Atomic Habits, sold 20 million copies over it. He's got this on his website, and I'm closing off. He says, I can't control the other person's behavior, but I can control my response. Their actions, and thinking about this in relation to your my line manager, their actions may be rude or unacceptable, but I still want my response to be measured and thoughtful. Even if they aren't doing what is right, I still want to make sure I'm doing what is right. Final thoughts. There were a couple of recurring themes throughout today's presentation, and for good reason, because those are important themes. And I want to encourage you to take charge of really do what you can possibly do to build a relationship with your line manager, to manage up successfully to such an extent that you and your line manager and your teams and your companies, your organizations benefit from that significantly. And that, ladies and gents, is the end of the formal part of the presentation. If you want to have a look at what the next topics are on our website under Growth Solutions in April, I hope to see you there. It's about staying positive in a volatile world, which is not always easy. Now I want to get to questions. We've got a couple of minutes left. There are all my details. If you have not invited me to be part of your LinkedIn network, please do that. You will hopefully be on the receiving end of a lot of good stuff. And on that note, I'm going to stop sharing, and so I can see your faces. And I will share with you my face, although it's really one for radio. Any questions, ladies and gents? I hope that was helpful. Ladies and gents, if there's nothing from anybody else, I want to say to you all the best. Look after yourselves, and I really mean it when I say I hope this content added value in terms of you better, more efficiently, effectively managing your manager. And until next time, have a super weekend. All the best to you. Thank you very much.